What's up, YouTube? Mr. Ferguson back once again here from Central North Carolina. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I'm not sure what I named it, but I have way more weeds in my lawn than I've ever had before. We're going to talk about why that is, how you can prevent that in your lawn. Maybe not this year, it may be a little late for that, but in the future. But before we get to that, thank you so much for checking out the video. If you enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. We do a lot of DIY content here, the very basics. I am not a professional at all. I'm just a DIYer here in Central North Carolina, just trying to have the best lawn that I can without spending a fortune and with doing the bare minimum, if you will. I mean, is that not what everybody wants, is to not have to work all the time in your lawn? But when we get outside and we do work in our lawn that is productive, we're buying products that will help us, and we know the proper steps to having a nice, lush, green looking lawn. So we're obviously, we've been talking about recently, spring is in the air, things are beginning to grow, and with our grass growing, weeds are growing as well. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Before we get to that, I did want to let you guys know I've been in communication with other YouTubers. We had a call last night, actually, discussing a hangout event we're going to try to do here on the DIY Lawn Coach on his channel, Devin. That's going to be coming up in April on a Tuesday. I believe it's April 8th, if I'm not completely wrong on that. The lawn mechanic, myself, Devin, the DIY lawn coach, and also the lawn review, Tyler. We're all going to get together. We're kind of going to talk about lawn, life, golf, just hanging out, taking your questions as well. So I would encourage you, it'll be on Devin's channel, the DIY Lawn Coach. So be looking for that on Tuesday. It's going to be a live stream. We would love for you guys to come by, stop by, say hello. 4 YouTubers at once, just hanging out. We want to get to know each other as well as get to know you guys in the chat. So that is coming soon. Details I'll put down in the description of their channel if you want to check them out. And you'll hear more about this in videos to come. This year is the first time in all of my, 5+ years of doing lawn care. As you guys know, I've learned off YouTube basically through lawn care plans, a lot through Alan Hain, the lawn care nut, a lot through Pete Denny from GCI Turf over in the western part of the state near Reedsville. And every single year, the first thing that I do in February in North Carolina is prodiamine. Prodiamine. I think I did dithiopyr or dithiopyr, however you want to pronounce it. These two are the most common pre-emergent herbicides that we put in our lawn. It provides that barrier across the top of our ground that burns or prevents new growth in our lawn. So this is something after we plant our cool season grass in the fall, we're coming back when the temperatures are around 55 or so degrees in the soil. We're putting down a pre-emergent. That pre-emergent is vital and it's important, and I've done it every year, and every year I don't deal with crabgrass because I'm doing this way before when the seed is germinating. That's when we're putting this down. We're catching it before it's germinating and growing. Once it's broken ground and come up, now we got to start looking at post-emergent, right? And so pre-emergent is catching it before it grows. So I've got more weeds in my lawn because we did a test this year, and I shared that on the channel. We didn't do a whole video about it, but basically I skipped my pre-emergent on purpose. Now, why would I do that? Well, first of all, I listened to a couple YouTubers that had said, you know, once you get an established lawn, it's super thick, it's very low maintenance. For the most part, I agree with that. That is absolutely true. But one thing that I heard that I was like, is that true? Was you don't need pre-emergent. You can go without pre-emergent. You can skip the pre-emergent and you don't really deal with a whole lot of weeds in the lawn. Well, I can tell you guys firsthand, I've seen more weeds in my lawn in the past 2 months than I've seen in a very long time. That pre-emergent has been evident to me this year. It is super important. So the biggest thing the pre-emergent provides is obviously what I call the 2,4-D weeds. Little broadleaf weeds, just little flowers, little onions in the lawn. It prevents all of that. And so I never see that in my lawn. All I see is basically is grass. And somewhere around the end of June into July, I begin to see a little bit of crabgrass, you know, on the edge of the woods back here in my lawn, in these little areas that we've cut out with our grass that right now looks terrible, that I've put some of the green shoots in to kill. I start seeing crabgrass in the areas I didn't apply my pre-emergent. And as that pre-emergent breaks down, in case you don't know, your pre-emergent can break down with large amounts of rain and standing water. It can kill that vapor barrier. I learned that from the NC State Extension course. So sometimes if you guys are like, I've done pre-emergent, Mr. Ferguson, it don't work for me. Well, if you have a super wet, sopping wet lawn with lots of rain, or you're just in a very a region or a climate that's super rainy, a lot of rain can break down and destroy pre-emergent barriers. So that's something you should know. However, every time I've done pre-emergent, it's almost like, what is it? I think The Office, where Andy Bernard says, you don't realize the good moments you're in until you're not, or the famous saying, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. I didn't realize how much my pre-emergent really did block the weeds until this year when I didn't apply it as a test. And so is it super crazy? Like, is it the worst thing in the world? No, it's not. Please don't misunderstand me of this as complaining, whining, oh my gosh, I'm screwed. I didn't do my prodiamine this year. No, I did this on purpose to see with the thickest lawn, you know, that we've planted in fall, we've planted seed. I've had a thick lawn. We're now in the middle of mowing my grass, and it's thickening up and it's leveling itself out. But as I've shared with you guys over time on the edges back here in the back where on my patio where I do my videos, I've noticed weeds along the edge. Not so much right now. I have spot sprayed, but stuff like this right here, see, embedded with the grass, you may be able to see this little flower of somewhat just embedded in the grass and grain. I would never see that previously. Obviously, if you have neighbors that don't do pre-emergent, you have neighbors that don't grow grass, that their weeds could, obviously when they mow, it can blow over into our yard without a pre-emergent. They can take root and they can grow. I've seen over here, you know, little things like this is obviously Poa annua. Obviously, our pre-emergent won't always stop this unless we do it in the fall. When we're talking about spring pre-emergent, we're trying to prevent crabgrass. We're preventing spring weeds as well as crabgrass. Things like this big broadleaf weed that's just right in the middle of my grass right here, as you can see as I pan out a little bit. I would never ever see anything like this previously. Now, is it the end of the world? Can you see this from the road and everybody's like, Mr. Ferguson has weeds, what is this man doing? He's a psycho. No, the only person that knows this is me and you, because I film my lawn. But things like this and little weeds I've shown you over the past videos, I would never see that previously, which has shown me more and more that those applications of pre-emergent are so vital. They're difference makers. If you're like me and you did not put down a pre-emergent or have never done pre-emergent in the springtime, it is a world of difference. I'm telling you, it blends in and it's not the end of the world, and my grass still looks good and it will continue to look good this year. But my goodness, I can tell such a difference in pre-emergent in the springtime early to catch those weeds before they germinate. It's made a massive difference. So I'm not sure that I can agree with the other videos that I've heard is once you get an established lawn, you can just put off the pre-emergent, no difference. If you don't want to, I can see how just letting the weeds go and you buying a 2,4-D product and spot spraying as you go is an answer. I may have to do that even more. If I'm seeing lots of weeds begin to take over my lawn, I'll handle them. But just onesie twosies like what I'm showing you, not so much a big deal. What I'm anxious to see is once we get warmer here in North Carolina, am I going to have an outbreak of crabgrass? And I hope that's not the case, because if you know anything, crabgrass can be a beast to try to take out. I even have quinclorac in my shed from the first year when I didn't do pre-emergent. I was using 2,4-D, I was using quinclorac to try to rid the crabgrass that I had so that I could then the following year use pre-emergent. And ever since that year, I've never stopped using pre-emergent until 2025. So I just wanted to put it out there. Your pre-emergent applications, whether you do them now, if you can do pre-emergent in the fall, I encourage it. If you don't need to overseed, then don't overseed. Go pre-emergent in the fall. This is going to help you stop Poa annua. If you're one dealing with an outbreak of Poa annua in your lawn right now, this time of the year, I'm starting to see, just like what I showed you, we're seeing seed heads. We're seeing the seed heads that come up, and as you mow, it can blow those seed heads through your lawn. Those seed heads can lie dormant and pop up next year, the year after. We don't know. Also, we know that during these spring months, as we're mowing our grass and we're thickening it up right now, if you mow a little too low, you're giving access for the sun to hit your soil and activate weed seeds. For me that don't have a pre-emergent, that's very bad. I don't want to do that. I want to keep my grass no shorter than 3 inches, and I'm going to keep it between 3 and 4. The other thing I can tell you guys is with Velocity PM, I've seen a lot of comments of people curious about that. I am too, but I'm also really nervous. Let me get around here so you can see this. The only really negative thing I've seen, as you can see, I mowed on Friday. It's looking good. You can see my little pattern I've got going on here. I mowed this way, up and down. We did this as our first mow in that first mow video, but you can see the lime green right here to my right of my shadow here. Look at these spots. This is what we're talking about. Poetriv, obviously the devil grass, right? We've talked about it many times on my channel. We've got some here, we've got some over here. I have the Velocity PM. I may try to spot spray these areas, but I definitely want to take my time, educate myself before I ever get on camera and do anything with Velocity PM. I'm going to do it with you guys and show you what I'm doing, and if I mess up, I want to go back and review. How did I screw this up and torch this grass, even though we can grow new grass, obviously, but I want to handle this. Now, keep in mind here in North Carolina with Poa trivialis, as it gets warmer, this is going to retreat and go away. It's a cool season grass. Actually, if you didn't know, Poa trivialis was created. It was engineered from what I read and what I can remember off the top of my head. It was created for golf. It was created for golf courses, Poa trivialis, for rough, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a engineered grass. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I read. So anyways, regardless of that, it will die out in the summer and go away. We won't see it, but it'll pop its head up again, and it's a spreading grass. As you can see, as I mow, it's gonna grow and it's going to expand. That's one of the cool traits that we wish our fescue. That's what the cool thing about laterally spreading fescue. We want the trait in fescue. We don't want it in Poetriv. We don't want that to take over our lawn. So it has to be dealt with. So look for that as those that were curious about Poetriv. That's what it looks like. If you're mowing right now, you're seeing lime green. It's not good. It's a spreading weed you need to handle. So my GoPro battery died, but basically you get the gist of this video. It is very important to do our pre-emergent application, and I know putting this out right now, you're like, how much good does that do me, Mr. Ferguson? We're past the point of pre-emergent time. Yes, you're right. But keep this in mind moving forward, that once we get into fall, assess your lawn and what happened over the summer. You know, it is crucial that we've talked about watering our lawn is very important to keeping it alive during the stressful months of summer. Once we get into fall, you're going to make a determination. Am I going to overseed and aerate? Am I going to let it fly and do that in spring? Or am I not going to, I don't need to seed. I'm just going to let it go and I'll seed every other year. That's something I've done. Doing pre-emergent, doing an application in the fall, you can stop your Poa annua if that's a problem where you are. If it's not a problem, I would encourage you, do a little bit of overseeding. Once we get into spring and we begin to come out of winter and we get our soil temperatures rise back up, I typically do my diamine application then, and it's very much stop the crabgrass, the broadleaf weeds. But if you're like, hey, I've not ever done that, then to me, learning about how I'm going to deal with this, there's so much more work that could be done or needs to be done as far as removing weeds from my lawn that I didn't have to do before with pre-emergent, if that makes sense. Little more spot spraying, or when I'm mowing and I'm looking at weeds in my lawn saying, man, that shouldn't be there, but it's going to be there this year until I do my pre-emergent next year. So hope that makes sense. I just wanted to throw that out there, the importance of pre-emergent. Keep that in your mental bank for next year. As we go into 2026, that man, it is so vitally important to do that. So I hope you guys stay encouraged. I hope you're out mowing. I know with some of the YouTuber conversations we were having, some people up north still have snow on the ground. That's absolutely ridiculous, and you guys can have that mess. I'll take the golf weather and the mowing down here and the sweating if I have to. But we're looking good here in Central NC, guys. As we finish looking at the lawn, man, it is growing in, and it's looking fantastic. The Stay Green fertilizer we've applied looks amazing. So God bless you guys from Central North Carolina. I'm Mr. Ferguson. Thank you so much. Click the like video if you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time on another lawn care video from Central NC.